5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Well, today, in case you didn't know, is, I get that down, you can't see my whole hat, but it's a great hat, is, I hope you love that, is my 2-year anniversary. August 28th, 2018, I started doing these Periscopes, and the reason I did was I wanted to be able to learn to do live streaming and learn to communicate with you. And, you know, I'm starting to get an audience. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who knows if there's an audience out there? I know that there's some people who watch me regularly. I want a special shout out. See if he's on there. Yeah, I want a special shout out to my friend Keith in Phoenix, who's been my best super encourager. He even sends those fancy hearts. I don't know what they mean. I never got a check from Periscope. I think they're worth about 100 millionth of a cent. So all I need is about another million people like Keith. But anyway, I wanted to thank you special. And we got a special event for you today. And I told you I might have. So great that you tuned in. Also, if anybody's new, because I think we sent out a big email this morning. I don't know. My style consultant is helping with that. I don't see her on, so if it didn't go out, it's her fault. Yesterday was supposed to be it, and it went. It was set up for 9:30 last night. So I said maybe you should send it out tomorrow morning, which she did. I just passed 9,000 viewers or connections on LinkedIn, so that's exciting. I had that last week, but then they knocked out 250 first. I don't know who they were. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden my numbers went down by 250, and we got right back to the same spot within one or two today. So 250 a week is about my pace that we're going to do, and we're going to try and keep that up for a long time. Anyway, let's dig in and let's see what we got here, and this is really interesting today. So what I'm going to talk about today is RFM. And I searched that on YouTube, and what I found was that there's a YouTube video that has 41,000 views by Manthan Systems. And we'll try and skip this part. Oops, and here's their RFM. They got nifty drawings, really like that.
So let's say you have this lovely, unbelievable offer.
Let's go on from here, and what I've done is, make it go faster. Let's say just all I did. Okay, so let's start there without the hand, no hand in the process, and let's dig in and see what's what. Okay, so here's your sale. You got your sale, and it's an unbelievable offer. And right off the bat, I should say, this is an unbelievable offer. If you have a sale of 90% off, you're either lying to people, bait and switch, or you're going out of business or something. That is not an offer you want to make, because you will not be believed. And it is not at all surprising that if you offer a 90% sale without any other reason, you will, stealing or hot merchandise, your fencing, or something else, if it's 90% off, no one will show up, which is exactly what they say is nobody comes to the sale. And so they suggest using recency, frequency, and monetary, that it will solve all your problems. And I'll put a link in my video to their video so that you can easily see it. And it's only 2 minutes. So, no matter what, it's not a bad thing. They're introducing the idea of recency, frequency, monetary. When I speak and ask who knows what RFM means, still very few hands go up. Okay, so let's go on. And they say that recency, frequency, monetary as RFM can solve this problem of marketing to your customers and making it a lot more efficient and making a lot more money. I would contend that is almost 100% false. Almost 100%. And we'll get to that as we go. Okay, so they say that if you get if you do if you do RFM segmentation, you will be able to attract the attention of your best customers, who will now say, oh, great, wow, this is unbelievable. They keep using that unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Don't ever want to do that kind of offer. And your CEO, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe it. The CEO will say that because you're not inundating your customers with unnecessary messages, because you're not communicating all the time, you're communicating to your best customers sometime and your worst customers some other time, they will want to know more. This plus sign implies that it can also be used for prospecting, which is completely false, because RFM, in its core, recency means when was the last time they bought from you. Frequency means how many times have they bought from you. And monetary means how much have they spent with you. With you. That's the operative thing. So, if you think you can find the absolutely right people to talk to and then add more to them with RFM, it is completely false. 100% false. Unbelievable RFM, that's what this video is about. Unbelievable. Now, as I said, they introduced the concept. A lot of people go there, and YouTube doesn't know any different, so YouTube puts them up first. Great, huh? Okay, but now we're going to talk from the perspective of someone who's played with RFM for literally 40 years. 40 years. And crushes RFM. If you saw some of my webinars and things, we just got done in the middle of the pandemic beating one of the oldest catalog titles in America. They were using RFM still to this day, and we beat them by roundabouts 165% on gross margin per piece. Okay, and our return on investment was well over 100% on average on 3 separate drops: holiday season, winter season, and spring season in the middle of the pandemic. Right now, hundreds of thousands of pieces in the test. Absolute interval of confidence, and so now let's go on. Okay, most RFM scoring books, for example, Freeman Godson Jr., not Freeman Godson Jr., but Arthur Hughes has a book that talks about RFM scoring, and he says divide your customers up into 5 groups. Very dumb, because look what happens. Okay, what happens is about half your customers only bought once, if you keep track. If you're a new company, it's worse. If you're an old company, it's 60, or it could be 70. But there's only so many multi-buyers, and it's 30, 40, not probably 50%. But let's say it's 50%. That means if we're going to use frequency, one-time buyers, the 1 score is a one-time buyer, the 2 score is a one-time buyer, and the 3 score is half of it is a one-time buyer. Okay? What happens up here? You know that the top 1% of your customers, not 20%, the top 1% of your customers, more or less, contributes 20% of your orders. Okay? So this is a terrible methodology. It's what most people use. Quintiles, it's called. Makes it easy to test. Makes it easy to see what's going on. No, it doesn't. It masks. All of this is a mask. Okay? Let's go on. So let's say you want to do what they say in the video. Let's not market to everybody. Let's market just to our best customers. And let's say we use frequency. Normally we would also use recency, but it's a little harder to talk about recency. Most people don't understand it. So let's talk about frequency, okay? And say, okay, we're going to only mail the people that have bought more than once, right? Okay, so the people that have bought more than once are the 2, 3, 4, and 5 score. And we use logarithmic scoring. We use many methods of scoring for the same RFM, for global variables. Okay, so got that? So let's say we're going to only mail the multi-buyers. That's these up here. We're going to take out the one-time buyers. And then you wake up in the middle of the night and you say to yourself, well, wait a minute. What about the one-time buyer that bought the big screen TV or bought the muzzleloader at Cabela's? We found that those muzzleloader buyers, if you let them sit for a couple of years, Again, recency, take recency out. Let them sit for a couple of years. After the divorce is final, they can buy again. That's kind of our theory. Anyway, so you add monetary. And you say, well, what about big ticket item persons? George Mosier, who had a furniture catalog, said to me, if a list produces a $50,000 order, most people will say that's an anomaly. I say, you know what? We should try again with that list. That's the way a business owner thinks compared to the way a statistician thinks, right? And so you say, okay, well, we're going to take these one-time buyers, but if monetary, this is monetary, if they placed huge orders, maybe we should give them a try, right? And the other thing is, if they didn't spend much, these are the little bitty buyers, let's not mail all the two-time buyers that have only bought twice, maybe long ago. Let's knock some of them out. Let's knock even the multi-buyers that are, 3, 4, 5-time buyers who didn't spend any money. This is the no money group here. See how that makes sense? Now you've made it much more complex. Instead of a straight line, you've made it into more of a curve. Much more effective. Most people who use RFM don't even get this, right? Okay, so what's wrong with RFM? What's wrong is it kills circulation, it kills growth. It requires more data on the poor customers. What the problem is that there's these 111s in RFM, no matter what scoring method you use. They bought once, they only spent a little, and they haven't bought in a while. So they get the lowest score of the RFM scoring algorithm, whatever algorithm you use. Okay? And so what do you do with those? And here's the bigger problem. Look at this. This is actual data from an actual customer file of just frequency and monetary. Here are the 111s when you use that slightly logarithmic scoring method, which I learned that from John Worth. The 111s are half your file. If you've got 1 million names, 500,000 of them are really questionable. If you got 10 million names, 5 million of them are questionable. Okay, got that right there. And if you decide you're only going to do the best buyers like the video says, oh man, there's nobody there. Nobody's home. You got 1 million names. This might be 5,000, which is great. I told Dick Cabela when I started learning about this, I said, Dick, you could cut out your top, you could cut 20% of your circulation, like down in here, and only lose 5% of your sales. He said, I don't want to lose 5% of my sales. This is one of the most profound things anybody ever said to me. I'm not sure if Dick made it barely through high school, but he was really, really smart about common sense. He said, if I cut sales 5%, I'm going to have to lay people off. I'm going to have to cut inventory. That's not something I want to do. Very wise. This is the problem right here. And RFM exacerbates it, makes it worse. RFM makes this worse because there's this temptation, and you say, well, we're not going to use the logarithmic scoring. You know what? Then what happens is all of these take up all you. These are at least they truly are one-time buyers that didn't buy much. This is actually honest. If you use the quintile method, you'll be kidding yourself because the 3-time frequency will be one-time buyers, half of them. So you're just kidding yourself. You say, 60% or whatever. Yeah. Oh, gosh, help me. Anyway, so what do you have to do? You have to create variables. You have to create variables. Little rows of numbers and letters are not illuminating. Big data is a nightmare. The more data, the more spurious correlations, the more erroneous conclusions you can draw all the time. If you compare pi to random number sequences, just the digits, you will find long strings if you get enough digits. You go out to 20 gig of digits, you will find long strings that match exactly. What does it mean? Nothing. So you've got to distill this down. There's an art to that. There's an absolute art. You should be looking for people that understand this fundamental. You need more variables. Okay? Without the variables, you don't know what's going on. So one of our variables, as an example, is the werewolf variable. Which customers turn into werewolves and buy voraciously at the full moon? Does your database have the werewolf variable? Go ask your database supplier how much it costs to build a full moon variable. They'll say, and then they'll tell you, and it'll be tens of thousands of dollars probably. And then your CFO will say to your marketing people who want a budget to build the full moon variable, they'll laugh at you. And they'll say, okay, how much is this going to return on investment? How do we make back the full moon variable? You know what? You don't know. Because you don't know until you build it whether it's worth building. And you might not even realize that. And so you wonder why your IT requests get laughed at and get undone. They never do them because they know you don't even know whether it's valuable or not. Why? Because marketing predicts the future. And the future is uncertain. And we don't know what's going to happen. And in a time of change, like now, even using last year's models can be difficult. Now, we've been through this before. We were modeling in the 2001 downturn that happened after 9/11, and we grew companies, significant growth. And we modeled through the 2008 Great Recession and kept people going, didn't cut circ or made money. That's what you're looking for. You want a coach who can coach you through these steps. That's what you want. You want somebody who's been there before. You want a guide. You want someone to take you on this journey. Okay? Let's go on. So one of the simple things we do is we say, oh, gee, we know their postal code, and the Census Bureau gives us data. They give us what's the median income for that zip code? What's the dwelling value? What's the percentage of graduation, a high school graduation and college graduation? What's the total population? How dense is it? We know the square miles. We've got about 250 of these variables. Oh, and don't forget the full moon variable. That just comes as part of the process. So we never ask you to pre-justify the cost of building a variable. We built unemployment claim variable for April this year versus July last year. Guess which one worked better? Take a minute. Give it a guess. Which works better? Turned out, for a particular mailer that we built it for, last year's was way more predictive. Why? Because that's entrenched unemployment, whereas this might be corona unemployment, which may bounce back. And the percentage of unemployed went up dramatically in areas where there had been very, very little. That magnifies the percentage. This doesn't really let me turn off the phone very well. It beeps at me. Okay? All those things are why you want a guide. You want someone who's been there before. And then what we do is throw it in a little grinder. It takes about 5 minutes to run. And we see, oh, you've got more customers out in the country than in the city. It's a skew. That might be because, you sell a rural product. Maybe you sell chewing tobacco or something. I don't know what you sell. Oops, I think I hit the wrong button. So I got to make sure. I know what happened. I bet that I saved the file. Okay. Maybe high married percent. Maybe I don't know why. But you got to create variables. If you don't create variables, you don't know what's going on. Right? Our lens. But the problem is, I meant to cover up that slide. The problem is, now you got to analyze the variables. Does your database provider give you analysis of 2, 3, 4, 500 variables? The more the variables, the more necessary is the analysis. And here's the trouble. Let's just say you get to do the analysis. Let's say you buy Python off-the-shelf cloud statistical variables, and you find out that 30 or 40 of those 300 are valuable and do seem to have impact. Like Musician's Friend, we found that on the full moon, sales were about the same around the full moon as every other day of the month. But guess what? Half as many customers bought. That means those customers were likely to be twice as valuable as the others. I should probably write a PhD type paper on this, because I'm pretty sure no one's ever found it out. Again, that's why you need a guide that's a little crazy about finding answers. But here's the trouble. We don't know which of the 40 are going to matter on any given analysis. You need a system that can digest 500 variables, tell you what's going on, because the AIs can do it. They can't tell you what it's doing, not on any given customer. We can tell you every customer why they're pulled or why they're not pulled. So you're not betting the farm on some analyst who may have decided that recency should be scored opposite of what you've ever done. We were called in to American Science and Surplus because one of the programmers had scored RFM like recency or like frequency. Frequency is the number of orders that people have placed. Monetary is the number of money, the amount of money that people spent. Recency is the number of days since they bought. Frequency and monetary are the higher the number, the better. Recency, the higher the number, the more likely they are never to buy again. It's totally opposite. But if you're a programmer, you don't think about that. You say, oh, okay, so frequency, the higher the number, the better. Monetary, the higher the number, the better. Recency, I think I'll do higher the number, the better. I'll make those a 5. Make the ones with high numbers 5. So then the mailer, thinking it was the same as the old system, mailed all his most dead customers with RFM. Then called us. Said, gee, we spent all this money on this new system. What can you do for nothing? That's kind of what happens. Okay. So what are some ways? If you watch the whole video, the other guy's video, they'll say, and you can make special offers segmented to your customers. Well, first of all, you got to figure out what the difference is between customers. You know, where do they come from? High income, low income? Is it all the same? RFM doesn't teach you any of that stuff. Nothing. It just teaches you how many times they bought. That will not tell you that they're interested in this or they're interested in that. So RFM on its own only masks the differences in customers and doesn't expand on the differences in customers. Okay, but you know, for Cabela's, we had like archery, camping, hunting, hiking, fishing. They sold all that. So we flagged them up. Actually, we didn't. We built little RFMs on all these different product categories. We built a hunting RFM, fishing RFM, camping, miscellaneous, lots of them. Took the raw order transactions. See, RFM doesn't require you to actually analyze the transactions and understand the SKUs. You got to get to that level to do this next step, which is still RFM, but it's a subset. So it means that you can then segment the behavior. Okay, and you can make a special archery offer. And one of the things we found was that for people that were really committed to archery, there wasn't much sense in mailing them the fishing catalogs. In fact, Cabela's number one complaint was, why do you send me all these fishing catalogs? Or, why do you send me all these hunting catalogs? And because they were using RFM, recency is, when did you buy lately? And they were only mailing people that had bought in the last year. So let's say you bought fishing last year, okay? And now it's coming around and we're going to try and pull the names for the fishing catalog. And it's about December. And because the fishing's coming up in January, February, March, get people ready for the season. Guess what? The people who are the most recent in December are my style consultant called in. I don't know. Maybe my sound is off. I don't know. Why don't you comment, style consultant, if you can hear me? The people in December are hunters. Cabela's had been using RFM to deliberately mail the people, the most recent people, the least relevant catalog. RFM will do that for you. If you have a seasonality issue, it will magnify it. Okay? And then what we did was find other pockets that might make sense. Maybe they bought hunting. Maybe they bought muzzle loaders. Maybe there was a big connection between archery and muzzle loaders because there's an independent season in a lot of states. Okay, I'm getting feedback that the sound is okay. So when you do this next step, all of a sudden, remember that illustration where we added monetary to the frequency? All of a sudden, you're finding little pockets that we eliminate. The fishermen maybe when we're mailing hunting, or maybe it's the hunters when we're mailing fishing that didn't spend a lot, didn't buy lately, or maybe they were really great, but we still eliminate them because that's not their season and they've never ordered outside that season. Okay, and here's what the impact of that is. What happens is that you get a better profit per piece, like double. That's what happened at Cabela's. This is actually from Cabela's. And it was only a 1.2 million piece test. And it was in the worst possible time frame. It was the last hunting mailing. And so the season was settled and recency actually worked. But in spite of that, we still beat their margin per piece and profit per piece by 75%, 74. Okay, oops. Here we go. It never stops. You got data, variables, analysis, action, which generates more data, variables, analysis, action. Look at that. Oh, isn't that cool? I didn't even know this was animated. I checked the box this time that said allow animations. Okay, so here's a couple of clients we did. I want you to see that we're working with companies that are mailers, that we're using RFM, that we beat the pants off their RFM. We made them millions of dollars. That's what you're looking for a guide. We expanded their catalog content, acoustic guitar section, drum supplement. That's that segmentation we were talking about. Most of this is in my book, Spinning Straw into Gold. It's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. Here's a picture of the book in case you want to see. This is Rumpelstiltskin. If you order today, send me a note and I will send you the audio version of the book in the author's own words. Let's work on this together. There's some real challenges. No matter what kind of customer segmentation you're using, you need to be thinking about more than RFM. That video, it's cute, got 41,000 views. It's almost 100% wrong, and you might say it's a lie. But I'm sure it's a great company, and they've done lots and lots of great videos because I looked them up. Have a great day. Like and share. 2-year anniversary. Thanks for being with me. Let's look forward to another great year. Bye-bye.